This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive On-Location in New York City. I have with me Jeff Baxter of VBI Vaccines. It's a publicly traded company on NASDAQ, VBIV. Jeff, welcome back to SNNLive.
Great. Thanks very much, Shelley. And good day to all of your subscribers.
It's good to have you. Let's get into it. Give us an overview on the company.
Sure. VBI is a vaccine company. We have two technologies in the company, one to generate de novo new vaccine candidates, and the second one is a formulation development platform which has the ability to confer thermostability to vaccines, i.e. take them out of the cold chain.
Let's talk about what's going on in the company, new developments, because I want to have that lead into the platform.
Sure, Shirley. So we're really excited. Our lead candidate, which is a prophylactic vaccine for the prevention of congenital CMV birth defects. CMV is the biggest cause of birth defects in America. And that vaccine has progressed really well since I spoke to you last. It is due to start the phase one clinical trial in the new year, immediately after year-end holidays. And that phase one trial has the potential to give us initial immunological human proof of concept. So we're really excited about this vaccine. It would be the first vaccine for this indication, which is a significant unmet medical need.
How large an unmet medical need is it?
Significant. So a child is born every hour in North America with significant birth defects due to congenital CMV. And some of those children, unfortunately, have very, very unhappy lives with severe brain damage, hearing and visual issues, and unfortunately do not lead very happy lives.
So talk to me about how this new vaccine steps in and how early in the game and what it can prevent.
Sure. So the discussion with the ACIP, which is the major public health body in the US that regulates vaccines, would say that we would vaccinate all adolescent girls because unfortunately accidental pregnancies do happen, but the younger a lady is when she conceives, then the higher risk there is from CMV infection. So adolescent girls would be vaccinated, and then when a woman later in her life, perhaps in a more planned family setting, is considering starting a family, then if she had the vaccine as an adolescent girl, she would get a booster. If she hasn't had the vaccine as an adolescent girl, she would get 2 shots to provide protection to the unborn child.
Talk to me in size of market in dollars and cents, because we're talking a completely huge market, I'm imagining.
Sure. And importantly, I said earlier that the ACIP has recognized this as a significant unmet medical need. They would recommend it for universal coverage, so all adolescent girls, and also it'd be recommended for universal reimbursement, which is very important in terms of healthcare plan coverage. So in fact, the routine ongoing market in North America alone would be in excess of $1 billion. That's 3 vaccines priced at about $200 a vaccine. And then there's a significant catch-up market because all of those women who have not had the shot as an adolescent girl who are planning a family would then go to their pediatrician and get the shot in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or whenever. So that catch-up market is probably in excess of $5 billion. So this makes this an extremely attractive commercial market. And of course, it's a significant unmet medical need. So healthy mothers, healthy babies, and of course, reimbursement and the commercial upside follows that opportunity.
What about FDA approval getting accelerated because it is an unmet medical need?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Shelley. So essentially, the safety hurdle for vaccines is extremely high. When you think about it, you give a highly potent drug to an otherwise healthy person to prevent disease later in life. So the safety hurdle is extremely high. Unlike Ebola, perhaps, and these really sort of epidemic outbreaks, there's no route forward for a routine prophylactic vaccine for fast-track approval. So we would do the phase 1 clinical trial. Phase 2A, 2B would be a big trial, and phase 3 would be a major trial across the 7 major markets.
What about pushback by mothers? I'm talking about the mothers of the adolescent girls, so to speak, because I've seen that in other drugs.
It's a really good point. Yes, we've seen significant pushback from mothers and also from, certain sort of religious groups around the HPV shots, Cervarix and Gardasil from GSK and Merck, that they could, cause promiscuity if young women do not understand the benefit from this vaccine. If you actually survey young women and ask them about HPV preventing cervical cancer, that's something that's seen, to impact people much older, 40, 50 plus. If you survey those same young women and ask them, could you have a vaccine to eliminate the major cause of birth defects, that's a very strong motivator to get vaccinated. And clearly, a vaccine that prevents the major cause of birth defects could not be misinterpreted as a contraceptive vaccine, say, or something to keep them safe from sexually transmitted disease.
I think a follow-up question that's important for me would be to talk about both side effects and the length of duration that it lasts.
Yeah, both very good questions, Shelley. So on the first question, the side effects, I mentioned earlier that the safety hurdle is extremely high for vaccines. We would do initially 125 patients in a phase 1 study, and that is overpowered for a phase 1. This is not 7 or 10 people, this is 125 normal, healthy CMV adults. And in that study, which will last 20 months, we'll look for any side effects. Our vaccine in development so far has been in several hundred animals, and in particular rabbits, which are used as the safety and tox model for the FDA. And we've seen absolutely no local injection site reactogenicity and no systemic toxicity, which means that after the studies, unfortunately, we have to sacrifice the animals, but we've seen no evidence of any toxicity in any organs. So far, the vaccine's looking very, very safe. In terms of duration, it's a really important question. So we have, 20, 24 months duration in mice. Given that mice only on average live 4 years, that sort of animal model, the regulatory authorities extrapolate in humans out to 15 to 20 years. But it's a really good question, because if you vaccinate as an adolescent girl, and then perhaps the woman doesn't start or decide to have a family till she's 40, then 17 years is a long time. In that case, the paediatrician would actually take a blood sample and see where the woman's neutralizing antibodies are, and then boost as necessary.
What's your background?
I'm a reformed an accountant.
So you came over to the dark side,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Your background, how does that help you in a MicroCap pharmaceutical company?
It's a really good question. So I actually had 19 years in GlaxoSmithKline. So by osmosis, I actually picked up a lot of scientific understanding. And I'm very grateful to all the scientists that showed a lot of patience in teaching me. After GlaxoSmithKline, I became a venture capitalist, so I went to even the darker side. But we had a very successful fund, several successful exits. And then really, after that, I really wanted to run a biotech company and take, responsibility for my own actions and leading the company. And VBI, I've been there since 2009, and it's been an absolute joy and pleasure. And of course, most importantly, with the probability of success that we work with in our industry, you have to love what you do. And every one of our scientists gets up every day with a mission of curing the biggest cause of birth defects in the major markets.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a website out there right away.
Sure, it's www.vbivaccines.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Baxter, VBI Vaccines. It's a publicly traded company on NASDAQ, VBIV. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive On Location in New York City. Jeff, thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much, Shelley. Thanks for having me.